Hello there, it's Adam Forbes here. I am the host of the Corporate Escapology podcast and the author of Corporate Escapology, a book that's out this year, I can finally say. My guest today is Kia Cannons. She is a deeply creative person. It hits you the second you meet her, and yet she was denied this route for her career, probably by very well-intended people around her at the time, and maybe less nice school art teacher. But so she found herself in various corporate jobs that didn't really fulfill her in government, although quite an interesting one in government, in the NHS and in finance. But all the time she was deeply unhappy. It wasn't what she was there to do. And she eventually left after even becoming quite ill over it. It was quite stressful living a life that really wasn't the one that she should be leading. And she started a family. And as that family grew a bit older and went to school, she found time for herself and she fell back into art and indeed made a great career out of it. She started selling her own art and teaching other people about art too. So let's hear from Kia now. Kia, it's fantastic to have you on the Corporate Escapology podcast today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I just always love to talk about this subject, so very excited to be here.
Brilliant, me too. Well, I've only really ever known you as an artist and as a as a coach. And I can't quite imagine you as a corporate person before, but you began your career like that. So tell us a bit about what you did before and also how you got into it before.
Yes, I know. I can't even imagine how on earth I survived for so long in the corporate world. So I did do a creative degree. I did an interior design degree, although it was heavily based in architecture rather than the conceptual design, which kind of drew me to the idea. And once again, you know, even with my choice of degree, I was doing what I was told to do. I was doing what friends told me to do. I was doing what my parents approved of. I did say to myself, what do I want to do? And I was told it wasn't sensible enough. I wanted to do performing arts and presenting and go down kind of the acting route. And obviously, you know, many parents feel this, and I get it. There's that sense of, well, that could maybe be your hobby, but you've got to do something sensible. So I end up in the corporate world because I do this degree, and which within the first 5 minutes, I knew I was never going to pursue. I knew I'm in the wrong place. The tutor made it clear that she understood that I was in the wrong place. And I just never had the courage to change subjects. I had different ideas of things I wanted to do, but I really was in that headspace of, it's so funny. I mean, I was like 19, but, you know, I can't waste any more time. I can't, you know, do another subject, get a year behind in my university years, you know, switch subjects, start again. And then what if that doesn't work? Well, then I'd have to do it again. And so I had so much fear looking back, which is why when I came out of university with a degree I was never going to use, and, just like a friend of a friend said, I work in recruitment. I could get you a really well-paid job, in London if you're willing to move to London. And my husband had left uni the year before me. We came out of university. Well, I came out of university, sorry. He'd already been out for a year, and he proposed. So in my head, I'm like, wow, so we've got a wedding to pay for ourselves. And also in that year, he'd started building his own business. So, you know, there's me.
Designer. He's a graphic designer, isn't he?
Yes,
so also creative, yeah.
But also creative, also very headstrong in wanting to feel free and do what he loves. And he's kind of really brought that out of me. You know, that's all that I do now is help particularly creative women to figure out what the creative work is that they feel that they're here to do in the world and align them with their sole purpose. But Nick really was my first kind of teacher that was just sort of showed me that you can be really, really resolute in, I'm going to figure out how to do what I love and I'm going to stop at nothing to get there. You know, he sort of said more or less those words on our first date. So when I find myself being offered the opportunity to get a well-paid job in London, I'm like, well, I don't know what else to do. So I said to my husband, look, once I just went, immediately got offered, a very well-paid admin job. Funny enough, opening the letters for the Prime Minister. So, just like totally random.
That is a bit random, isn't it?
It is, but I can even see why that ended up happening. It was so interesting getting those letters and seeing what was on people's hearts, getting privy to all these kind of materials and books and different things that people were sending in, really hoping to kind of get a set of eyes on different ways of looking at the world, looking at healing health and that kind of thing. So I did actually find it quite fascinating, although I was completely and utterly bored. So very quickly I got offered this job. Yeah.
Did you have one of those knives?
Oh, yes, we had the knives. And then we were supposed to scan in. We had to scan in like, I don't know, hundreds of letters a day and file them and get them to the appropriate minister and things. And I'm just there, an hour later with my head in a book going, this is incredible. I've got to buy this myself, and trying to, focus. So having that offer very quickly, I naively, with the naivety that only a 21-year-old who is in love and who is about to get married would say, I turned to my husband and said, look, you know what you want to do. And I know that starting your business from scratch, you cannot have that enormous financial pressure of you've also got to provide for yourself. So, I grew up with my father having his own business my whole life, and I saw all the ups and downs of what that's like. So I kind of knew that. And I said, look, how about I support you financially for the first 10 years or something. By then, I will have figured out what it is I want to do with my life, and then we can swap. And he was like, of course, he was like, amazing, that's fine. I mean, thank goodness things worked out, hey, because how naive was that, really?
The right woman here.
I know, so lucky. And then I've been so lucky because it actually has worked out that way, where he has then now completely supported me so that, and eventually, it has taken me it feels like forever to figure out what I want to do. So very quickly to finish the answer to your question, what's my corporate history? So I do that job for a few months, and then the same recruitment agency come back and say, we've actually got a permanent full-time job. Would you like that? And I'm like, yes, permanent would be better than temporary, as that was. And so then I find myself working in the NHS and looking after the chairman and helping a little bit look after the chief executive of the North West London Strategic Health Authority. And so I'm fully into, I'm still in this public sector, never chose it. It's definitely not kind of my way of thinking, my people. It's not my environment where I'm going to flourish. And I spend nearly 4 years there. Yes. And so honest, just telling them all the time, I don't want to be here. And I just had this incredible boss who was an artist herself, and being a chairman, she had to work, a few days a month. And so she could see that in me, and she just said, go when you need to. And she was so, so patient with me. Every time I'd have to write a letter for her, well, type one out and print it, she would have to red pen it. The average was 7 times. Sometimes my worst was 14 times. I just wouldn't even see the errors, the typos, because I was dyslexic, but hiding it from the world because
not very well, maybe.
I'm sure they guessed. And so, this amazing boss just said, look, you're fantastic. I always had the same feedback all the way through everything that I've done. Your interpersonal skills are fantastic. And she's like, that's what we need on the front desk, dealing with all of these chief executives and chairmen of the London hospitals. So, we love that side of you. You're brilliant for that. And we'll forgive the rest. And just, when you got to go, you got to go. And I just never knew. Again, I still just didn't know what else I should do.
To go to, yeah. Yes. And then so that keeps you stuck, doesn't it? Because there's a risk that it's going to be worse, whatever you end up with, or wrong, and you still don't know. And actually, the confidence kind of declines a bit too. Every time you find yourself, this one is also wrong, a little bit more of the confidence just gets totally eroded.
And it's just so easy that when you are having to focus every day on doing a job, then you're getting out of work, especially when you hate your job and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm finally free. What can I do with myself now? What can I do with my evening to feel like I'm living? Because I don't feel like I'm living. I feel like I'm existing and I'm surviving. And so there's very little time or energy that feels expansive and curious. And, in my case, I really needed to feel creative. So I do that until the NHS restructures and I get given voluntary redundancy. So you'd think at that point I've got all these
This is
months.
the sign.
Right, thank you. For several months I had no job, no boss, but I still had to turn up to work every day, still got paid. And it was that weird sort of, you all know I have nothing to do, right? And actually getting very bored and walking around to the other, different directors and things like, do you need any help? And, just spending an awful lot of time getting career coaching and reading stuff and looking online for jobs. And I remember my brother even taking me out for lunch at that point and saying, this is the point where you can do something creative. Just start again, like start looking. You've got to realize that you hate doing this kind of work. You're not very good at it and you should be doing something creative.
You were good at some of it. Some aspects of it you were very good at, remember?
Thank you. Good point. Yes, I wouldn't have been there for that long, and continue to sort of get pay rises and things. If I didn't have some good qualities in that role, but yeah, a lot of it I was really struggling, and so again, I just stick with the sensible. I'm still supporting my husband very much. He's now started kind of a new business with some friends, and so that's very kind of in its infancy. And I look for jobs and I do all these interviews and I end at the last job I go for is as an assistant to 3 MDs at an actuary. So this is like, it was difficult looking after like the chief exec on the days I had to step and look after him.
God.
But these guys were infinitely more busy than this one person. And of course, being it was insane. I could barely keep up with it. But again, I got offered more money. Suddenly you get all these bonuses. You're not just an admin person. You're, I can't remember what, they had like a special name for us. And, I'm in this room with these 20 women and they're all suited and booted and loving these jobs. Everybody looked after 3 people. And I'm just looking around there thinking, how are you doing it? If one of my bosses walks past and says, Kia, remember to tell so-and-so this message when you see them. I couldn't do it. I would look at all the people around me and go, you remember stuff. And, with my dyslexia, it's my short-term memory that is the biggest thing that's affected. But I just didn't really understand that or put that together. And I just thought, you just need to work harder, Kia. And you must be lazy because look at all these girls that they're coming in, they're buying their designer handbags with their bonuses. They're loving this world. And I watch and they're still, gosh, what is it now? Nearly 20 years later, they're still in those jobs, still loving it. And I just thought, I just need to work harder to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
And
it's easy to think like that because I think it comes a bit from education, doesn't it? Because you have this broad range of subjects. My daughter's doing GCSE mocks right now, and there's so many subjects that are not suitable for her, but she has to just work harder. That's the only solution. Just learn more, retain more, apply it, be able to write it down in an exam. And I think it then just carries through as an adult that we think that's how we have to be then. We're not good at something. We don't think, okay, that's not the right place for me. We think, just work harder and you will get good. But the reality is there are other people, like you say, that are naturally good at it. It's what they're supposed to be doing, and they're always going to be better than you. And so when it comes to promotions or anything, you're compared to people who have found the right place for themselves, and you're always then going to be disadvantaged in some way, and then feel crap as well, maybe.
Yes, well, that's it. Beating yourself up and feeling that there's something wrong with you, that you can't kind of get with the program and do what seems to be incredibly simple work.
So let's switch to the art bit because you told me this terribly, terribly sad story about why you didn't do GCSE art.
Yes,
even though, and I mean, please repeat the whole kind of feelings of going into the art room.
So I'm at school. I'm about, I don't know what age you are when you choose GCSEs. I think it's about 13, something like that. And I'm at this amazing private girls' school. And the art department, from the day I walked in when I joined the school when I was 11 years old, it just took my breath away. It was this huge, long, beautiful kind of loft room up high with windows all down the side of it. And I just remember the smell of it, all of the paint and everything. And I remember they had these jam jars full of paintbrushes all along the windowsill. And as soon as I arrived there, I'm like, there was just an inner sort of, it wasn't a very conscious thought, but looking back, I can remember feeling I'm home. I'm so excited to be here. So, I struggle along through the first 2 years of taking art. It's all very serious and it's drawing faces and drawing things in a realistic way, which I really struggled with, but I just love my art classes. And so we get to choosing our GCSEs and I put down art. I'm so excited. And I think all you have to do is just choose, right? As long as it's okay on the timetable, you get shown, you can have, this subject or this subject because these are at the same time. So I could look at the timetable and go, yeah, it's all fine. I thought that's it. And so I was really, really taken aback when I walked
I'm preparing myself.
Yeah. I walk into the art studio and everyone's there and we're all finding out about our GCSE, getting things different, confirmed and stuff. I'm really excited. And there's lots of people talking. And I noticed the art teacher come out, and this art teacher, I just thought she was the coolest woman I'd ever met. She had this really chic bob. She always had really cool clothes. She was the first person I'd ever saw that had chunky like glasses that, creative people wear. And I always thought, I just want her to like me. I just want her to think I'm cool, I'm okay. And so she comes over and she rarely ever spoke to me. And she comes over and she says, and she had this list in front of her with some names on it. And she said, Kia, I've got the list here of all the girls that have chosen art for GCSE. And I was really surprised to see your name on it. And so I'm kind of like, and so she just launches straight on and she says, because the thing is you can't draw. So choose again. Turns on her heel and she's gone. And I'm just there. I remember trying to say, what? And that's it. She threw in, you're good at acting. You should be doing drama. And it's like, I was just left this to the sort of saying, well, I am doing drama. I just really, and she's gone. And I literally remember thinking, I'm actually going to cry in public in front of all the girls. So I'm going to have to just, rush off to the little kind of, stairwell. It was always in the dark if the door was shut. It was. I gotta go in there. I'm just scared and frightened and crying and just like, I'm so embarrassed. And in that moment, I made the classic error that we do when we experience shame and embarrassment, which is I made a commitment to myself to never, ever put myself in a position where I would feel this terrible. And I would flipping get the message that I'm not good enough and stop trying to do something creative. And so I was like, right, just get it. You're not creative. Get it, stop it, move on. You're not doing it. And then I spent the next 20 years of my life trying to be anything but a creative and not believing like the story with my brother, and he sits me down and says, you've got to do a creative job. You're getting paid redundancy. This is the time. And it didn't register with me because I was so committed to that belief that became an unconscious belief that, I can't do it.
Yeah, and you pushed away a bit later on when you went to college, you went to art college, but you told me the same there. It was almost the same thing. Somebody said to you then, yeah, you can't do this. Like, how have you got here?
Yes.
This sort of reinforcement of like, because it's not classic art, therefore, it doesn't exist. Therefore, you're not the right fit for this. You can't do it.
That's that story. Just, it's only, on the timeline, it's something like 6 years later or so, something like that. And so I'm sitting there on my first day in this interior design degree. And again, it's funny, actually, it's another incredible female like role model. So the course tutor, I've been there a couple of days, and this is the first day that we sit with our course tutors. We've just been talked at in lectures up until that point. And so I'd had a few days of taking in this woman. I'm like, she is amazing. She's kind of like a Nigella Lawson, incredibly confident, hilariously funny, this amazing energy and stature about her. And again, it's sort of that like, oh my gosh, I'd love to be like you when I'm a grown up. And I hope you like me. And so I'm sat next to her in this little group. There's only sort of 8 of us now everyone's in these little pods with their tutors. And we're all being tested on, right, draw perspective, do this, do that. And I'm thinking, what's perspective? And they're getting all these different tools out that we'd had to buy, all this apparatus. And I'm thinking, I have no clue how to use like a ratio ruler and I can't even remember the names of the things. Didn't know how to use them then, don't know how to use them now. And so I'm just sat there. And at the end of the day, she turns to me and she goes, Kia, I have to ask you, who interviewed you and let you onto this course? because I don't remember you at interview and I remember every single other face here. And I'm like, well, I actually didn't get asked to come to an interview. And she already looks, a bit worried. I said, well, no, I was just given a conditional offer and I got the marks that I needed to get in. And so I've never met anyone here. And the colour just drained from her face. And she just sort of went, oh, right, okay, and moved on, back to me, moved on to the next thing. And I just sat there going, I'm not supposed to be here. It's so obvious. I've got in by accident. You have to get an interview to get in here. And I'm here by accident. I'm not good enough, clearly, because I don't know anything, because I've never done art, because, of course, I asked to do art for A-level and I was told, well, if you didn't do it for GCSE, you can't do it for A-level. I'm like, I tried, but I wasn't allowed. It was reinforced again. And this is, my story rings out in so many of my clients' stories too, that the very thing you've always wanted to do, that you have received so much evidence and advice and pressure to accept that it is wrong, like you are wrong and you are not good enough, is actually the very thing you're here to do.
So let's shift positively now, because it did all change. So you had children, you stopped working for a bit, you had children, your husband's businesses was doing fine by then. So this flip could happen.
Right. Kind of. Yeah, exactly. Yes. So the flip for me happened when my youngest started preschool. So I kind of had always known I wanted to be a full-time mum once my kids were small, which I didn't realize by the time I would get to be a mum. I'd said that. I'd always said it since I was like 5. I don't even know why. It just was always just in me. That's what my mum did. And I guess it's the only thing I knew for certain. One day I want to have kids. And I guess, you're not going to be a nanny or work in creches unless you really enjoy being around children. So it makes sense. And when I'd have my own, I'd want to be around them. I'd just enjoy the whole, just the dynamic of looking after small children. But I've learned, like, my own. It's very different looking after other people's.
Not always my own.
Yeah. Right. So I get to be the full-time mum. That's the only thing I said to my husband, that's the only thing in the deal. Look, I will look after you financially, so you do not need to worry about having to provide. Whatever you make is just a bonus. But when or if we have children, I will want to be a full-time mum. He's like, yeah, that's cool. So, he's totally fine with that. I discover I'm like the only mum around doing that. And that, very much getting from my friends, that it was sort of wrong that I was being kind of lazy and wanting to be a full-time mum. Not lazy at all, I realise now. And then so art starts to come in. Like I was saying, my youngest starts preschool and I suddenly realised, gosh, I have got 2 mornings where I have 3 hours to myself, where the one that's 2 years older is at school, youngest is at preschool for 3 hours. So what should I do with that time? And I go into a local adult learning centre with a friend. We're at a sewing cafe with our babies, or our toddlers. And we happen to see that there's an open exhibition on, like a community exhibition. And so we have a look around. And again, she's going, oh, let's look around the exhibition. I'm thinking, why would I? I'm not an arty. I wouldn't look at an art exhibition. I've never been to a gallery. Still that unconscious belief. And so she drags me in pretty much. And I'm looking at these paintings by this local young artist. He's in his 20s himself, like very young 20s. And I'm looking at his work thinking, oh my goodness, I think these paintings like similar to this, are inside me as well. I think I want to make paintings a bit like this. And I think I would be good at it. Oh, what a strange feeling that was. So I share that with my friend who I'm with. And she says, Kia, you're literally the most creative person I know. Funny enough, she worked with me at the marketing agency. So she knew me really, really well. And she knew I was not that girl who could do that job either. And so she's saying, so she picks up the brochure for this place and sees that there's a messy drawing class on the same time that my youngest is about to be at preschool, where the universe does its thing. You've got to notice these little synchronicities. They're not coincidences. They are the path. And so, she's like, you should do this. And of course, I'm like, again, that's ridiculous because I can't do art. And also, by that point, all I've done is look after everybody around me. I've looked after everyone in my own family growing up. When I was a child, I was very much, the nurturer and the looker after and the watcher to check everybody's okay and then looking after people. And then what do I do when I meet my husband? I unconsciously play out the same role. I look after him. And then what have I done? I've been a full-time mum.
Yeah, but even lots of those roles you were doing were looking after those really senior people, weren't they? Mm.
Too, I didn't even spot that. Good point. Anyway, long story short, I take months to make the decision. And finally, on the day it's due to start, I phone them up and say, is there still space? Yes. I'm like, okay, I'll pay now and I'm coming. But it took me that long to give myself permission. And everybody's encouraging me, my husband, my mum, my friends, like, what's the big deal, Kia? It's just like a 12-week course for 90 quid. But to me, like being a single income family and, having 2 boys, that's a week's shop and school shoes. So doing that felt like spending £1 million, to be fair. And but it's interesting. The moment I went, I am worthy of spending this £96 on, I'm worthy of doing something that interests me, everything started to expand. And I find that this is a theme in life. You've got to go first. You've got to say, I want this and I'm taking this for me. And it feels really scary and uncertain. And I could be spending this money on other people who depend on me, who I love, etc. But I'm going to do this thing for me, maybe for the first time in my life. So I go along to this class and I mean, everyone else is like 60 and I'm, 32 or something at the time. And they're lovely. They're wonderful. Teachers my age-ish. But everyone's like really old. And so they're just pottering. And I am like a whirling dervish. I am creating so many paintings. And I actually had the shit.
Getting your money's worth.
Yeah, that was it. It was the lack mentality. And also I'm finally in a room, because get this, when I walk into that studio, it's like a proper art studio. I didn't expect this in a community centre. So it has the big Belfast sink, and on the windowsill, it's full of jam jars full of paintbrushes. I could have cried. I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember thinking, like, I'm home again. I'm actually home and I've done it myself and I'm an adult now. And I was just enjoying it so much that I just wanted to, every second, I just wanted to be creating and learning. And so the way that things take off is that I decide, because we're doing very different things every week, really, really different things. We're printmaking, and then we're doing kind of like 3D embroidery. We're not really painting. I'm thinking, what's my style? Is there kind of any cohesive theme here? And again, that's where the curiosity part is so integral with finding your purpose, I find. It's noticing those little thoughts and following them. So I really wanted to know what all the work looked like together. Thought I needed a website, and their friend said, Instagram, that's where you've got a screen with lots of a grid of images is what you're saying. You want to upload everything and see what it looks like together. So I joined Instagram. And I noticed that people are making a handsome living simply selling their art to their followers. I'm thinking, I need to learn about this. I need to know how to do this, because wouldn't that be an amazing lifestyle? That would get me up in the morning and get me excited and feel like I'm not lazy. That would make me, just work really hard. And so I start learning, and I start, I give up television in the evenings completely. To do all this homework that I'm getting from this course, and to just research, how are people doing this on Instagram? And within a year, I've got 10,000 followers and I'm selling a piece of art every week. And it's just like, boom. It was incredible. It was just so.
And so you were selling
easy.
A piece of your art as well. I mean, that is a classic validation there.
Yeah.
Somebody thinks this is good enough to buy, to spend their own £96 on, that they could be spending on something else. They're choosing to buy. How was that making you feel?
Oh gosh, yeah, just so validated finally. And of course, now I realize you don't need anybody's external validation. You only need your own. But I think
But you might have needed it at that time.
Well, yeah, I think given my background and us creatives, we're a fragile kind in the beginning, when we're trying to sort of, make our first waves and put our baby creations, which are so personal, out there. It does feel incredible when someone says, I want to buy that, and then somebody else does, and then you've sold a collection, and you're thinking, this is crazy. My work's going all over the world. So I'm getting all these wonderful reviews. Absolutely amazing. And then this led on to lots of artists saying to me, a bit like you're saying, how it was quite, so it was something good's happening if you're getting those followers that quickly back then in like 2014, I think, 2015, something like that. And all these artists were saying to me, I've been on this platform longer than you. I saw you join, we've made friends on here, but my account is not doing what your account is doing. So can you just tell me, can you give me some tips? And I found myself saying over and over and over, almost like a joke, I have learned so much. I've spent, all this time researching it. I'd have to write a book. It's not just, I can't just say do this, that, and the other. I need to give you the full context, the reasons, the whys, I need to break it down for you. And so I think I will start to put my thoughts in order. Evernote just came to my rescue at that point. It's brilliant as a dyslexic to pop all my thoughts in and then be able to move them around and get them into an, cohesive order. And so I just so happened to be asked to do a takeover on Instagram for a really big account the weekend that the book is nearly ready. So I say to my husband, graphic design skills, I need you this weekend.
Yeah.
I remember it being like an Easter bank holiday. I'm like, can you design it? If I finish writing the last chapter, can you start designing from the first chapter? And then we need to get it done because bank holiday Monday, I am doing this takeover, and it'd be an amazing thing to say, if you want more help, here's an ebook you can buy. And my goodness, that ebook, I just put it on Etsy for 15 quid. It was a 7-page Word document that my husband made beautifully into like a 21-page PDF. And that made like 15 grand over a few months. It just shows when you tap into what you're passionate about. I just wanted to help other artists. I just don't want any other women to be sat in grey, dull offices like I was, doing work that drains them, looking at the clock, secret eating all day. I'd just go through a packet of biscuits that were hidden in my bottom drawer. My highlight was going and buying a new packet of biscuits every lunchtime. The weight's piling on, my health is deteriorating. And I'm like, if I can help that girl that's out there, that woman that doesn't know what the answer is, they're like, I'm willing to do something, but I don't know the path. If I can do that, I will do it. So it just shows that when you find that inner passion in you, what is it that wakes you up and gets you excited? And not let it be this huge question, like this X on the map that you've got to figure out. And come hell or high water, you've got to do that. You just got to figure out right now. What is the thing right now that I feel really excited about? Like for me, it was, I just want to do that course. Okay, I just want to see all my things in a row on a screen. Okay, Instagram. Oh, I just want to research about this. Oh, actually, I just want to make some art and put it out there. Oh, people are buying it. Actually, what I want to do now, even in this time of severe adversity, I cannot walk. I've got to pay all this money to this private doctor. Right now, though, I actually feel really excited about writing an ebook while I'm sat in the waiting room. Every time I make a decision from that real clean place of right now, I just want to do this thing that makes no sense. Like, it didn't make any sense, really, to stop painting for a bit and focus on teaching Instagram marketing. I don't want to be a marketer. I don't want to be an Instagram marketer, but I knew something that people wanted from me and I was excited to share it with them.
Yeah,
and that makes you qualified. It's the other thing. People don't feel qualified to do something new.
And so you've now sort of evolved that. So you're not doing Instagram marketing.
No, I dropped that.
You've moved it to, you've been doing coaching and helping other creative women. That's how I know you, through my wife joining you. And so tell us more about how how it sort of evolved. It's very sort of fluid, isn't it? What you do, it's not. And this is me, and I'm only doing this. You're kind of letting it.
I do evolve. many things. Yeah. So I have just allowed myself. I think because I did that deal with my husband, you get 10 years, then I get 10 years. In my head, it was, you've got time to figure this out. And that has been the secret to my success, I think. Not putting all that pressure on myself to figure it out now, in a year, create a strategy, and then get all these incredible results. Because whenever I try and do that kind of thing, it just doesn't work. And nothing that I want happens. So I have just had to keep reining that part of that sort of imaginary self-created pressure, keep quietening that voice down, and keep strengthening the muscle, which allows me to follow what I want to do and allow myself to pivot. Because of course, we're taught, a very much corporate brain is, if you pivot, you're flaky. You can't be changing what you want to do all the time. That's ridiculous. That's just what flaky people do. But I learned that your power is in your ability to pivot into whatever is exciting you at the time. Because if life had revealed to me all those years ago what I'm doing now, I would have gone, that makes absolutely no sense. I have zero experience in any of those things. I'm an intuitive artist. I teach intuitive painting classes. Well, I never picked up a paintbrush at that point. So there's no use in wanting to know what the big end thing is going to be, because it won't make any sense. And you've got to go through all these iterations and these slight tweaking and then sometimes big pivots to get there. So yes, at the moment, I still coach people one-to-one. I don't really advertise it. People just find me and say, usually, I want to do a membership like you're doing, or I want to do this or the other. I'm just a bit stuck and I just feel like you can help me. Can we have some sessions? So I'll do that for the people that reach out to me. And then I have the membership, which is just wonderful. And then I teach the intuitive painting course. I'm also writing a book. I've got a publisher looking at my proposal at the moment. But then I also do speaking and presenting, and I love that as well. And sort of starting to get more offers for keynotes and things. So,
that's terrific.
yeah,
And right now you're doing this. Let's talk about that intuitive art, because you're doing those classes at the moment. And I was particularly interested how you have a subset of the group that you've done art with that's sort of like, it's a more experienced. So you're kind of recognizing there are some people that want to be pushed further, and so they're sort of creating different revenue opportunities through the group that you've got by doing different kinds of classes with them too.
Oh, 100%. Yes, because I forget, I have another one too, which is just a standalone course, which is how to find your purpose. And so it's kind of amazing that there are many women in my monthly membership that are kind of just the feedback I get from them whenever I say to them, I'm going to change things up. I fancy doing things a bit differently. We're going to do less sessions or more sessions, and we're going to do a different topic. And I'll check in and go, is everybody okay with that? And I just consistently get the feedback of, it doesn't really matter what you do, Kia. I'm just here because I just love your energy. I love anything that you're into. We're on similar paths. You help me. So kind of don't worry about it. For years, I tried to figure out, what should I do? And then I realized there's no use in doing that. And then it's only over time that you have the privilege of that experience, able to look back and go, oh, that's how, that works with this. What I'm doing is...
Right. There's this Steve Jobs quote that one of the other guests last time talked about, where you can only make sense of it by looking backwards. You can never sort of look forward and plan these things out. It only makes sense when you look back. And I think it's so true. And I think in many ways, that's why we get a bit held up and caught up and stuck, because we're assuming that we can see a pathway, and too many things are out there in the way, but also opportunities opening up things that it would never make sense.
Yeah, the corporate and education and all of that, it teaches you to do it that way. What's the plan? And then force it into action. And I also think, because I spent so many years trying to do what I couldn't do, that was amazing as a transferable skill to then create a business, because no one knows what they're doing when they're creating their first business, especially if you haven't done business school or anything like that. So that's taught me.
Interesting.
Yes.
And also the fact that you have to do things when you've got your own business that they don't play to your strengths. You just have, but you still have to do them, or you have to find somebody else and pay them, and you haven't got money to pay them. So the very fact that you, instead of just like saying, well, because I don't know how to do it, I can't do it, but throw yourself in to just try and do it, that got you most of the way in most cases, I'm sure.
Yeah, it just taught me that I can figure it out. Yeah. If I could figure out all these things that were so impossible for me before, I can figure this out because I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was that as well.
And so then finally, let's go back to that little girl to end there. Like, what would you tell her now about? Would you tell her don't be like that, or would you say actually this was the life that you were supposed to have?
If I could be super sneaky and give her like a little cheat sheet, a little cheat code to life
in the stairwell there when
just appear from the darkness as 43-year-old Kia, I would say, like, the key to being happy in life is just to follow doing what you love. Follow what you love and don't take no for an answer. If I had learned that, I would have said to that to my parents probably, can you tell that teacher I really want to do art, instead of going, oh, okay, I'm sorry, And at university, I would have gone, look, I'm not happy here either. I don't know how I got in here. Can we have a chat? Could you help me figure out what else I should be doing here? Because you're right. I think I've accidentally got in. It would be, don't take no for an answer. Don't just go, okay, sorry. And yeah, just do what you love. Be drawn to the things that excite you. And that's literally what has given me all of my success. Everything, every win that I've got has always come when I didn't dilute everything down and try to go, oh, well, this is the sensible thing. Because this is the problem I find with my clients. They've got it, they get what I'm saying, and they're like, yeah, yes, right, I'm gonna do this thing. This is my next step. We're never trying to figure out what the big thing is, what the X is on the map out there somewhere in the future. What are you going to do now? And then they'll find themselves saying, but the sensible thing is that really I should, do it in this way. I'm like, but are you excited about that? Not really, but it's that's probably what will get me success. So it's like just any shoulds or sensibles, for me, those are red flags. Red flag those words. Notice when you say them and go, I'm going off course if I'm going to follow that.
Great. Well, that is fantastic advice for all of us, not just for that 13-year-old Kia. Yes. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Kia. It's been absolutely fascinating hearing your story, and I hope it's going to really inspire other people too.
Oh, me too. Thank you so much for having me.